The question for the Arizona Cardinals is, when is a contract going to be done to keep Kyler Murray in Arizona? That broke earlier today. Eric Burkhart, who represents both Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury, the coach of the Cardinals, issued a statement, and it was kind of long. It's kind of hard to read, small print. It said a lot of stuff, but the big takeaway was they've sent a contract proposal to the Cardinals, and he wants the team to speak not with words but with actions. And there's been a lot of words recently. Mike, look at that. You need a magnifying glass and a magnifying glass on top of the magnifying glass to read the thing. But there's been a lot of discussion, and I think there's some natural negotiation push and pull, and there have been some stories leaked, I think, by the Cardinals to reduce the expectations of Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray as to what their next contract is going to be. Now we're going to find out whether or not they can work it out. That's what it comes down to, dollars and cents. What range will the Cardinals be in for Murray? What range will Eric Burkhart be in for Murray? And can they find a middle ground? That's what it's all about, and they have 6 months to figure it out.
Well, I guess I would ask you, Mike, are the Cardinals going to negotiate right now? Do they want to negotiate? I know this is the first year they can, but it doesn't mean they have to. I mean, listen, I read the letter, and it's amazing the generation of today doesn't want to read. I had no problem sitting and reading it, because I wrote, papers. We actually wrote papers when we were growing up. Kids today read 2 sentences and they're done. All the tweets were like, I can't read this thing. I read it, top to bottom. And, at the end of the day, it's a client, it's an agent selling his client. Yes, he's improved some. Listen, me personally, I'm not ready to throw the bank at the guy. I'm just not. He has improved some. He's improved minimally, but he certainly didn't play well at the end of the year. I've heard the stories as well. I actually have some people I know who have said that his leadership can be questioned and his work ethic. Again, I'm not in there. I just say what I hear, which is what a lot of people are saying. But I'll also say, on the other side, I'm not in that building. I'm not with them every day. So I just go off of what I heard from those people. So I don't know where the Cardinals go here. I don't know, Mike, personally, if I think I'm going to sit there and trying to hammer one out, and pay him if it's a going rate $35, $40 million a year. I don't know if I'm there with Kyler Murray. I like some of the improvements I've seen, but he's still got a ways to go. And are you ready to drop that kind of coin on him right now, or do you wait another year before you do that?
This is a prime example of the conflict that I think is going to emerge as quarterbacks who are on the pass side of the pass, fail, boom, or bust when you're drafted. Murray isn't a bust, but just because he's due for a new quarterback contract doesn't mean that he is entitled to become the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. We went through a stretch where everyone who was up for a contract became the highest paid player in league history by $500,000 a year. And it was one after another, after another, after another. Now we're at a point where you have Patrick Mahomes at $45 million, Dak Prescott at $40 million with a much better contract because it's only a 4-year deal, now only 3 years left on it. You've got Josh Allen in between at $43. Just because Murray is up for a new deal doesn't mean he gets $45.5. Right. Where does he land? And I think we're going to have that problem. We're going to have that challenge figuring out the value of a quarterback because the range is so great right now from guys who are kind of close to the top tier to guys who are the top tier. Where does that fall? It's not going to be an easy negotiation. And the Cardinals, they've broken from this reputation of being cheap. They're not as cheap as they used to be. But still, I mean, look at that graphic. There is a huge gap in the top 10 contracts from 45 all the way down to 30. Where does Kyler Murray land? And I think it's one of the reasons why the Browns didn't pay Baker Mayfield. For Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, it's a different issue altogether because he's representing himself and he won't engage in discussions with the Ravens, what makes it hard to do a deal. But if I'm the Cardinals, I want to sign him. I just have no idea what I want to pay him.
Yeah, I agree. And do you want to do it now? Can you talk him into waiting another year? Which listen, could cost the Cardinals more if this guy comes out and has a phenomenal year. Again, we've seen incremental increases, like in the quarterback rating, went down a little bit, I believe, in accuracy, I think down in touchdowns, but just by a couple. It's basically been in a close range all 3 years. He ran a little bit less this year. Now, we did have an ankle injury, so they probably ran him less than normal. So I'm with you. Is where does he fit in that range? I'm sure he believes, and hey, if you can, ask for it. What you ask for or what you get, you're worth what somebody's willing to pay you. So I think the Cardinals have a real head scratch about, me personally, I would not make him in that category because I agree with you. It's who's the next one up. If they're a pass fail, boom, bust. If they're not a bust, they go up to the top of the class. He's not he's not the highest paid quarterback in the league by any stretch of the imagination. So maybe you do a deal now if he would accept it in the 30s and say, okay, because that's the other thing. You don't just want to also, that's that fine game of not giving up on a quarterback, because then where are you going to go? That's always the question. Then what are you going to do? Who are you going to get? I know there's quarterbacks out there for trade that you can get that's going to cost you assets, obviously. So this is a fine line now, but this is how it works. Player asks for a ton, team doesn't want to pay a ton. Where do you meet in this thing?
The other problem, too, is for the Cardinals, Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray are tied together through the sharing of an agent in Eric Burkhart. So when there was some heat being applied to Cliff Kingsbury after they collapsed this year from 10-2 to 1-out in the postseason, there was some pushback from the Kingsbury camp, and there was a sense that if you do anything to Cliff, you're going to have a real problem with Kyler. So it complicates the situation for the Cardinals. It made it a no-brainer 3 years ago when they drafted Kyler Murray. Now it complicates the situation as they try to figure out what they're going to do with Kingsbury, what they're going to do with Murray. And it's just a matter of spin as well, Mike, because on one hand you can look at it, and the argument from Kingsbury and Murray's side is the team has gotten better each of the last 3 years. You look at the end result, they're better. But the counter to that is they start strongly and they fall apart. And we've seen it 3 straight years. They peter out. Other teams catch up with them, or Kyler Murray starts to wear down. You mentioned the ankle injury. It happened Week 8 against the Green Bay Packers. He was never the same the rest of the season. He had 2 carries for 6 yards in the playoff loss. If he can't run the ball, he's a different quarterback altogether. And for Cliff Kingsbury, it's 9 straight years of the team starting off good to great and it falling apart as the season got deeper into crunch time, where you really prove whether or not you're a team that's going to pursue greatness. And at some point, you got to be troubled by that if you're the Cardinals. So this is going to be awkward. This is going to be ugly. And I think the reporting from earlier this month and following the postseason loss, that's part of this effort by the Cardinals to squeeze Kingsbury and Murray into wanting less than maybe they think they deserve. Because I don't think they collectively have done enough to put themselves in the upper echelon of the sport.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. And as far as what they've done, I'm with you. I mean, so they have other holes to fill. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins missing the end of the season didn't help them at all, because we know he's in the picture of top wide receivers on the team, or I'm sorry, in the NFL. And that's the thing about it. If they do a deal now, because it's after his 3rd year, the big numbers wouldn't have to kick in for a year or two, kind of like the Mahomes thing, where it's just getting ready to kick in. You got to still live off, a lower cap hit for you, so you can still manage it a little more to get some more players to try and help you. But that is an issue, and that's something that does have to be looked at. Start strong all you want, but if you can't finish strong, it don't matter. Bottom line is get in the playoffs any way you can, because then you at least have a shot. Because they looked so anemic in the playoffs, it was absolutely ridiculous.
And the one thing that Murray has that no other NFL player currently has is the leverage that comes from being able to say, I'm good enough to go play another professional sport at a high level. The problem is baseball is currently in a lockout, but maybe, who knows how long it's going to last. I paid no attention to it because I don't pay any attention to baseball, just because I pay all my attention to football. But maybe we get later into the year and baseball is back and the path is there and we see him from time to time wearing that A's hat. That gives him an or else that doesn't currently apply to any other player who's trying to get a contract. And you'll wonder if it escalates to that point as we move deeper and deeper into the offseason.
See, what I always look for, Mike, with these kind of situations is, does either side draw a line in the sand? Because, listen, this baseball thing's going to get worked out. They're probably going to miss opening day. It'll get pushed at some point, the way it's going right now. I have been following it some. I know out here in Arizona and certainly in Florida, the places where these training camps or spring trainings held it's just a shame because it's such great moneymakers for those places. But they'll eventually get back. And the thing is, though, is will Kyler or the Cardinals? I don't think the Cardinals will, unless they just come out and say, we're not doing a new deal this year. Does Kyler say, I'm not going to camp without a new deal? Does either side draw any kind of line in the sand? If not, then this thing could just keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed unless somebody is real about some kind of deadline that they want to have.
Yeah, it's another thing to keep an eye on as the quarterback carousel starts to spin. I don't think Murray's going anywhere, but it's going to be a delicate negotiation as we move forward.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.